and welcome to a product spotlight with Simon Says Stamp. My name is Britta Swiderski, and today I wanted to feature some new Hero Arts stamps that are just released. They were released in early December 2011, and I wanted to play around with them and give you a little peek into some of the new designs that I'm loving right now. This is a new series for Simon Says, and I'll be featuring a different product every week and then making a card after I kind of experiment around with it and show you things that I like about it. So today I wanted to use this background stamp, and this is called the Hero Arts Heartfelt Background. So I've gone ahead and stamped this out on some scrap paper. This is in Spice Tin Jenny Bullen ink, but it's really just so that I can look and see which areas have what design in them. And remember that any area that's white in here will be covered up with some Faded Jeans and Chip Sapphire Distress ink. So it's okay if you get color in those white areas, but it's not going to show up. So I'm just going to start with my watercolor pencils. These are also sold at Simon Says. They're the Low and Cornell watercolors, and I'm using these 5 colors that all blend well together. So I'm using Viridian, Emerald Green, Apple Green, Prussian Blue, and Sap Green. And I'm just going to start by kind of looking and coloring in, making some darker, and that's where it'll give us a lot of color to work with when we get our brushes out, and then some lighter areas. And I'm just going to kind of color in this whole piece and then go back with my brush and really make it look awesome with some water. So now that I've colored this all in with my colored pencils, you can see it's really, really rough. It looks like a 5-year-old kind of did it. But this is fine. This is exactly how you want it to look because the water is going to make this all look wonderful together. So you can see here I kind of followed the pattern here, and now I'm just going to add some water to my craft sheet. And I like to use a craft sheet with sprayed water on it because it gives me really good control of the amount of water on my brush. And I'm just going to start out with this teal color here and just make it liquid by rubbing over it with the water on the brush. And I'm going to first go over the darker areas, then pick up more water and kind of fade it in towards the middle. And then fade it out from there. Just be free with it and let the water do its thing and kind of embrace the imperfections. So I'm just going to keep adding water and keep swirling this around and see what happens. And now we can add a little bit more water into areas that we want to blend more, and then just let it dry. And as it dries, you can dab some of the pools of water off or just leave them dry as is for different looks. Just experiment around and find what you like, and you know, you really can't go wrong with this. It's going to look great no matter what. So I'll be back in a second when this is dry. So now I have my image dry, and by the way, this is watercolor paper from Simon Says Stamp. It comes in 6x9 sheets in packs of 5, and it's really great for these kind of techniques because it's really thick. So it takes a good amount of water and only warps a little bit, versus thinner papers will get very, very wrinkly. So just some strong adhesive and adhering this to the card base, and it'll be nice and flat for you. But now that we have it dry, we have this really cool watercolor look. We can go ahead, and you want to make sure this is dry. It's not damp or anything like that, because we're going to be embossing it, and embossing powder loves to stick to things that it has an excuse to stick to. So I'm going to use this embossing buddy. It's called Embossing Magic from Inkadinkadoo, and just rub over the surface. It's kind of like baby powder. and that will prevent the embossing powder from sticking in places that it's not supposed to. And then I have my stamp here. I'm going to ink it up with some Versamark ink. And now we can go ahead and lay our card down on the stamp and try to line it up kind of where you followed along the stamp when you were coloring in the areas. And I'm just using this piece of scrap paper to hold it down and protect my hands while I rub the Versamark onto the paper. Alright, so you can't see anything yet, but now we add the clear embossing powder on top of the image. Alright, and so now it's covered with embossing powder, and I'm just going to tap on the back a couple times to get off any spare embossing powder. But I'm not going to tap too hard, otherwise some of it might come off. And now I can just go ahead and heat it with my embossing gun until everything's melted. And now that I have this all embossed, you can see the texture here. It's nice and clear, and you can't see any more of the grains of embossing powder. I'm going to take my faded Jeans Distress ink and start going over it. Now that I have the faded jeans Distress ink down, I'm going to use my Chip Sapphire ink and go around the edges and make those a little bit darker. And it's looking very good. Now I'm just going to spray my little towel here a couple times with some water, and when it's nice and damp, so I'm just going to wipe off the excess ink off the embossing powder. And it'll really make those darker areas pop. So you see here we have our wonderful little background there. And it has this really awesome watercolor look that's trapped inside of the clear embossing. So that's really awesome. So now I'm going to put together a card with this really pretty piece, and you can follow me along while I put everything together. So to start off, I adhere my watercolor paper down to this Hero Hues cardstock. It's the lightest green color. Then I'm cutting the sentiment from the labels die from My Favorite Things and stamping down this sentiment from the year-round sentiments from Hero Arts. It's one of their new stamp sets. I adhered some Hero Hues buttons down with some glossy accents, and now I'm going to use a craft pick to punch through the holes and then sew through them with a little bit of thread. Now I'm adhering down the label with some foam adhesive and then punching some more holes to make a cross-stitch look to tie everything together. So here's the finished card. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you again next week.